Previously on Walk the Line. As hundreds of Chinese citizens enter the U.S. illegally via its southern border every day, more are following in their footsteps.
哪个城市去？
深圳，我是大学是土木。
I fly to Ecuador to join their journey.
Some guy just whistled at me from that shop. The smuggler might be thinking I'm one of his merchandise.
And meet a family in Colombia as they prepare to cross the Darien Gap.
我认为连方便面都不要，我去搞牛肉干。
我才不要吃你的油盐。
慈爱的天父，还是感谢赞美你，主啊！求你继续带领我们前面的道路，求你洁净这食物，使我们能够身体康健，灵魂活泼。如此祷告，奉主耶稣基督的名祈求，阿门。OK。
这是有洋葱吗？
Mom, Dad, and Lucy left China almost a month ago, taking detours through Thailand and Turkey before arriving in South America.
你们是怎么走上这条路的？
我们当时就是很想简单的，就想把孩子带出去。
因为我们的女儿她是在教会学校上学，就是所谓的教会学校，就是在中国是属于违法教学，它属于地下学校。但是家庭教会被冲击之后，教会被取缔，学校也被冲击没有了。曾经在我们家也上了2-3个月，后来就被无意中又被他们发现了，后来就也不能上了，嘛。我们在成都那个租房，那个房东就是隐晦的跟我说，我这个房租下面就不给你续了。
规划是谁做的？
规划对，我是通过那个 YouTube 还有 Telegram 汇集资料，就自己 DIY 嘛。因为钱不多嘛，没有多少钱。
多少钱的？
一家人反正20万不到嘛。
哦，那是真的。
对，就预算是很紧张的，就只能是 DIY 嘛。就一步一步来嘛。
现在想起来过雨林，担心吗？
我担心他怕他没怎么是那种运动的类型的孩子，而且他是这样子，他走几步会头疼啊，所以我就怕他身体吃不消，所以我就买了很多东西。
爸为什么不担心？
就像我们在船上一样，虽然海里有风浪，但是上帝他一直与我们同在，所以我就不会担心。就算船翻了，也是上帝与我们同在，我们进入他的怀抱。
现在没有回头路可以走。
对，因为我很渴望那种自由，就是说你免于恐惧，你说什么做什么，只要是不侵犯他人，你都是自由的。我就很想这样的感觉，但是我从来没有拥有过。
实话，我没有他那么大的那种理想抱负，我就想到我的孩子，他的以后的出路是好的，是轻省的，不要像我这么累。其实我们很单纯，觉得美国遍地是黄金，我们过去一节就可以了。
这种不好吃，这个是啥？猪腿肉，300块钱2房肉，太贵了这。 这个3块9毛5，
换算成人民币的话，30块了。
30块，贵。我靠，这个34块9毛9一包，好贵呀、多少钱？多少钱？
上来，
我看一下
，20块4毛3。
20块4毛3。哇，光买点零食20块4毛3。大哥有没有啥活啊？
挂刷板
嘛。
就只有仓库。
美国是就这个样子，美国就是这个环境。
反正最近好多人回去了。
10个人里面，现在应该有1个以上回去了，再过段时间就2个、3个，最后要4个、5个，生存艰难啊！美国不是想象中的美国，美国已经完犊子了，
美国
衰败了，
碎了。
美国了，
但是还是很多人来，过完年还有很多人要来，说是要很多。对，大哥有活干，说一声。
It's been 12 hours since Carlos left Nicoclí to try and get us access to the Darien Gap from the drug cartel that controls the area.
Take care, guys. I'll see you in a bit.
He had promised to be back by sunset, but so far he's nowhere to be seen. In recent months, the cartel has issued death threats against several reporters. I can no longer sit on my hands, so I call another local journalist who's dealt with the cartel before.
Carlos went in today. He sort of didn't come back. Should I be worried?
He didn't come back.
He didn't come back today.
What time did he went?
He went, I think he took the 7:30, 8 o'clock boat.
That's taking a while. That's a brave move, you know?
Okay.
He's taking a risk.
Okay. Is there anything else we could do?
Honestly, no, because if you don't get that yes, I think we really got an idea to.
Really bad idea in what sense?
Thank you.
Without getting a go-ahead from Carlos, we cannot depart for the Darien Gap with the Chinese migrants. But I want to see them off, as they are about to embark on the most challenging part of the journey, a multi-day trek through a virgin jungle. Nicoclí is a beach resort in Colombia, but its fortunes took a dive during the pandemic. Since then, migrants have taken over the town. On the beach, clusters of large families, mostly Venezuelan, camp out, sometimes for months, until they find enough money to buy ferry tickets to move forward. The United Nations Refugee Agency provides them with clean drinking water, but that's about all the help they get. By contrast, the Chinese move through Nicoclí quickly. On the pier, I begin to see familiar faces.
They seem like they're in good shape. Carrying very little stuff. I think they've gotten rid of most of their belongings. It's going to be a 2.5-hour boat ride to Capragana, where they'll have to wait till the night to go again on an illegal boat at night into Panama. That's where they start the trek.
Colombia in the past year has come under increasing U.S. pressure to stop the flow of migrants. But in Necoclí, you can hardly sense that. Carlos told me even though there are police on the streets in Necoclí, the town is under de facto control of the drug cartel. And that might explain why the police hardly bat an eye while hundreds of migrants move under their watch. The family and the other migrants we had gone shopping with are also set to depart today, but I don't see them on the pier.
Use violence. There have been reports of raping women, mistreatment of the young people, children, and young women to be given to all their gangs that are involved in the sexual trade and the prostitution chains and the sort of things.
哎，哥，太好了，太好了！啊，那个几点让你们走的？几点跟你们说可以走的？
Turns out by showing up at the family's lodging the day before, we had alarmed the smuggler. So he moved the entire group out of Necoclí before dawn. Everything is happening faster than we anticipated. But unfortunately for us, another day goes by without any word from Carlos for us to enter the Darien Gap.
I just don't believe them anymore.
It's all right. Sit down. Sit down.
And you know the right.
Suddenly, Carlos shows up.
This is incredible because when I arrived on the boat like 2 days ago, the army was on the docks, like
In Capragana.
in Capurana, fully dressed, machine guns, bullets, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, first time I seen them there like this. The army got in like 2-3 days ago, looking for smugglers, you know, because they've been 2 arrested already.
Yeah.
So this jungle commando is in the jungle, and these guys are like, look, man, I give you the permit, you go in the jungle, something happens, it's on us. Something happens like a shootout and some of you get injured or anything, it's like, I can't do this, I can't. You know, and
How unusual is this for the
Incredible.
Colombian army to go into the jungle?
Incredible
Because
and
that's not
unusual.
their turf, right? They don't control that area.
incredible and unusual. They never been there in 18 years.
We have prepared for months, both physically and mentally, for the Darien Gap. But the journey is not to be. Now we must come up with a different plan.
We waited in Necoclí for 3 days, but the drug cartel eventually told us we were not welcome. That's why we now have to leave.
So we head to Panama, hoping to catch up with the Chinese migrants on their way out of the Darien Gap. In Panama, migrants aren't allowed to roam free. They're taken into government-run migrant reception centers as soon as they emerge from the Darien Gap, and then bussed onto the next country. So our chances of encountering them on a street is next to none. I'm just trying to enter one of the migrant reception centers. It's controlled by the border police. So they stepped into a puddle. I've lost touch with the family, so now I have no choice. That whole van of soldiers just went past me. I'm pretty sure they saw me, but they didn't care. Yeah. We've made our way into one of the migrant reception centers. There were some people charging their phones there. One Chinese guy. Yeah. Have you seen chinas? Chinas? No. It's a bit confounding, given in a Cockley on the dock, most people we see are Chinese. So, let's see.
Sí, se fueron ya. O sea, ellos llegan, si llegan de noche, pasan la noche y al día siguiente ya se van en la mañana, se van.
How long have you been here?
17 días ya.
Why do the Chinese people get to leave so quickly?
Porque ellos pagan el pasaje rápido, $60 por persona. Hasta los niños pagan.
How much money do you need?
Imagínate, nosotros somos 12.
How much money do you have?
Tenemos como 100.
What are you going to do?
Porque estamos ayudando haciendo labor social. No nos dan dinero, nos exoneran el pasaje pues, y nos mandan hasta Costa Rica.
Just as I'm giving up hope to catch the family in Panama.
喂？喂？哎，哥，哎，你好。
对，我刚才有网了，有电了。就那个，明天我们是先坐那个独木舟到达那个公路边。
好，平安就好，平安就好。明天早上我们开车过来，我们大概1个小时能到。你们是不是9点左右能到？
那肯定是快一点，你们快一点，
我们快一点。那我们明天见哈。
好，拜拜。
好嘞，好，拜拜。
The family has recorded their journey through the Darien Gap.
啊？妈妈还在后面呢。
A 55-kilometer track over mountains and rivers. Many of their fellow Chinese quickly tire out and pay porters to carry their bags and children. The track takes 2.5 days. And at each day's end, they set out to camp with large swaths of the jungle clear to make way. Once out of the Darien Gap, they get fresh food and Coca-Cola.
那边有 WiFi，
这里有
WiFi 5块钱2小时，1小时3块钱。
And pay for Wi-Fi in order to call me.
几位哥们儿你好，我这边是做二手车的，做这。现在有中国驾照的话也可以开。
有中国驾照也可以开吗？
啊，前面半年6个月。
加微信，加微信，
加微信。租车买车的需求的话，可以联系我。然后你们现在没有身份的话，也可以贷款买车。没事，不用。包括你就算没有银行卡的话，你买的车不是特别贵的话，情况下买几千块钱车的话，我们车行业自己也可以这个。 假如你买个1万块钱左右的车，你首付就是3000块钱。假如你首付不够的话，我们也可以给你垫着，你到时候你后面每个月也按然给。像这种月供的话，1个月的月供也就200多块钱。
那大哥，我想问一下，通过这个车去跑一啊，跑优步啥的吗？
可以啊，
也可以。
假如你送快递送着，不是你也不可能天天去送。1个月的话，你挣5000块钱的话，比你在国内挣3万块钱日子过得都舒服。
OK， 明白了。
这边买车你会发现比买个手机还简单。这边的话就是红圈帕克丁胖子广场，然后这边华人的第一站都是来这里。我主要是经常来这边的话，因为这边刚来的人多嘛，待在这里面大部分人都是没有车的。有些人虽然在这边挂币，但那只是一小部分人。挂币的话，他们就是在这边天待着。 跟大部分人想的是挣快钱，像国内那种挣快钱的态度，觉得眼前的，假如说他觉得一个月在这边挣2、3千块钱的话，他觉得这种工作做不做无所谓，他觉得他不能给他一个很富裕的一个生活，他就觉得那我还不如当着。
In Panama, we get up bright and early for the only opportunity to see the Chinese migrants in this country. We've come to Puerto Limón, a small Panamanian village at the exit of the Darien Gap. You could see walking around here how the migration trade has completely transformed this place. All these stalls are built up to cater to migrants. And it's also interesting how the Chinese have left a footprint. The signs, other than the ones in Spanish, which is their native language, the most visible ones are in Chinese. See, take a look at there. Just look at the sign here. It says China Bodega, exchanging US dollar, utilizing WeChat Pay and Alipay. That's what usually the Chinese migrants have on them. This is basically all the stuff you can get from a grocery shop in China. Mastercone instant noodles with Spam on the side. Wang Lao Ji is a sweet herbal drink, very popular with the Chinese. Sunflower seeds, la tiao, sort of a spice mix, very popular again in China. You know, somebody must have been acquiring these things directly from China because I've never seen these things in South America. Look at the handwriting. This is much better than my handwriting, so there's no question. A real Chinese person is behind this shop. And it's really mind-boggling how this ecosystem can so quickly form around the migration trade. The boats are coming in now.
Fourth boat is our family.
Which one?
The fourth boat is our family.
That's them. I'm beginning to see familiar faces. That's Auntie, the one in pink. They look tired. I can tell Auntie looks very tired. Mom is a bit unsteady.
我把你的眼镜带过来了，我什么都扔了，就把你的眼镜给带过来了。
谢谢你，谢谢你。身体怎么样？是不是有点虚弱？
没有，太辛苦了。
来，大姐怎么样？怎么样？哎呀，平安就好，平安就好，平安就好。好，
哦，太危险了。
啊，
我们觉得是捡了一条命换
出来的。
哎呀，平安就好，平安就好，平安就好。来，好，走。
哎呦，
你走也好，你
They brought my sunglasses. They've thrown away most of their belongings, but they kept my sunglasses.
你给他啥？
良心，老板良心，1比7.8，一路上最良心的兄弟。
没办法，大家都是中国人嘛，是不是？
对对，
中国人办中国人应该。
全的 ，Go Go Go！
哎，小心点，小心点。
路上最难的是哪一段？
那个哥伦比亚从卡雷托海滩，简直地狱模式，座椅全部是碎掉了，
碎掉了座椅都，
人抬起来，
砸下来，
砸下来，
木板的座椅吗
全部？碎掉了，坐在地上，你看我这里全部是伤，
这都是在船上
在船上
受的伤。
搞破的，船上搞破了，对，前天晚上。听说失踪了27个人
27个人失踪了。
失踪了，
什么事情失踪？
就是船翻了，
船翻了，
就是我们
同一条线。
对，就是我们在我们的后面。
哎呦，我害怕死了！我的床上小孩特别多，那小孩哭声啊，真的是很心酸啊。他吓死了嘛，那个船可以飞起来。飞起来可以达到30米啊！
那个时候有没有想到，真的可能生命就会这么结束？
我想到了，然后我的船而且坏了，坏在海面上，就这样飘。其实这是我最恐惧的，因为它就不是你能掌控了，然后它就这样飘了这个20来分钟，哎呀，太恐怖了！我当时在想，如果它船修不好了掉头，我就不走。我就不走了，我就这条路不走，太恐怖了。
所以你觉得后面的人，你会跟他们讲不要来了？
已经说了。
对，不管为了什么目标，你打上生命是的。
我知道我没吃过这个。
妈，下边也不走，可能往我认识人，谁告诉我这样走线，谁也别走，累死也不走。
你跟你老公跟你儿子说了吗？
说了，不敢抱得这么危险。
啊，怎么呢？
就说以后啊，再多钱别这样。多少钱都不赚，就那船太危险了。当时就想自己都放弃生命了，那时候我就想不抓了，死了算了，就想这样的。
那对的，我觉得只要能逃出中国，比什么都强。只要离开那个鬼地方，比哪都强，上哪都强。
前面的别插队啊！
哦，他不用急的，放心，肯定拉不下你们的。哎呀，不用急的，急没有用的。
他们不会拉下你们的，一定把你们找走。
Soon, Panama's border police arrived to take the migrants away. We will not see them again until they get to Mexico.
Main Street， 然后左转进入。
在国内呢发表过一些言论嘛，甚至号召过一些事情。在今年过完年以后，一直到8月份，已经被叫过去7次，毫无任何理由叫过去。
你说在你今年来美国之前被叫过去？
对，他也不会给你任何东西凭证，就是毫无理由。
那比如说你现在还保留之前的手机，然后有通话记录吗？
通话记录的话，我可以在这上面调取。
那我听下来的话，你其实应该是比较符合这个庇护的条件的。其实我有一点非常重要的要跟你去解释，就是关于这个法律的一个变化。就是在511之后啊，如果你是从美墨边境南边这边偷渡进来的人，除非你适用于他所列出来的一些例外情况，如果不适用的话，那么你非法的进来，你就没有资格去申请庇护。当然你知道这个法律嘛，它换一个总统或者是随着时间推移，它变化还是蛮快的。当你最终依然是今天法律的话，你可能最后不一定拿到庇护的绿卡。但是呢，我们可以争取的是说，最好的就是说一个暂缓递解，这样子你是不会被送回到你本国去，你也有一个工卡可以继续在这里生活。
就是您说的暂缓递解，那我的孩子我可以把他接过来。
庇护的话是你一个人成功了，那么你的配偶以及你21岁以下未婚的这个子女都是可以相当于附属的一个家属一样把他带过来的。但暂缓递解的话，必须每一个人都有一个自己的一个申请。我们现在1个月的话，可能有60-70个吧，我们新增的客户。如果你经过这些程序，最终输掉了你的案件，那么你就会有一个递解令，那么美国政府就要开始递解你。可是对于中国人来讲，有一个很大的不同，他会联系中国领事馆，请求他们去补发一些旅行文件或者护照，让这个人能够登上飞回中国的飞机去把他遣返回去。可是中国领事馆对于这种请求都是不予理会的。那么这些人最终在关了一段时间以后都会被放出来，然后绝大多数人也可以申请工卡。
喂，你去见律师了吗？去了。他说了，我们这拿不到绿卡，是511以后所有的人100%拿不到。以目前的法律政策。
那其实说这些其他的律师都说的是假话吗？
对。
那我们这511之后来的不是没有任何意义
啊，现在目前就是这个状况。突然感觉失去了动力一样。
I've flown from Panama City to Tapachula on Mexico's southern border. The family and the other Chinese migrants should be arriving here in the next couple of days, having bust their way through Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala. Up until this point, Chinese migrants are easy to spot on a migration trail, but in Mexico, that becomes much harder. That's because after Panama, thousands of Central Americans join the migration trail each day, fleeing violence and poverty at home. So by comparison, Chinese migrants are now a less prominent group.
¿Alguien de ustedes se quiere quedar en Tapachula? No. Todos nos queremos ir de Tapachula. Sí. Estamos aquí buscando un mejor futuro para nuestros hijos y para nosotros mismos. ¿De acuerdo?
These people, where did they come from? And where are they trying to go?
Actualmente, este grupo que está aquí representa 24 nacionalidades, todo Centroamérica, Haití, Venezuela, Cuba, África, Asia, ucranianos, rusos, la mayoría, el 90% de las personas que están acá quiere cumplir el sueño americano, llegar a los Estados Unidos.
If they're trying to go to America, why are so many of them here?
El Instituto Nacional de Migración en México ha decidido no dar más trámites por presión del gobierno de los Estados Unidos.
Luis is now gathering signatures for a petition to the court, hoping the judiciary will force the immigration authorities to give in. Otherwise, he threatens to lead a caravan of migrants and walk on foot to reach the U.S. border.
There are a lot of Chinese migrants coming to Tapachula, right? Why do I not see them here?
Porque la mayoría de los migrantes chinos tienen dinero. Los migrantes ricos, los que tienen dinero, llámese cualquier nacionalidad, llegan a Estados Unidos sin problema. Los migrantes pobres, que son estos que estamos viendo acá, son los que no pueden pagar para poder salir adelante.
Where are you guys from?
El Salvador.
How long have you been in Tapachula?
Me, 5 months. ¿Cuánto? 4 months.
Where are you from?
¿De dónde es usted?
Honduras,
Honduras. How long have you been in Tapachula?
4 meses. Vengo huyendo de Honduras, me mataron mi familia. Mi mamá, mi papá, mi hijo, mi hermana.
I'm so sorry.
Lo lamento.
The countries the Chinese migrants have passed through so far are all challenging in their own rights. But now I'm beginning to sense that Mexico could be an entirely different game. The Chinese migrants are beginning to reach Guatemala, the last country they'll have to get through before entering Mexico.
我们还在危地马拉城买票，不知道是几点的票。我们晚上是住到那个边境城市去，晚上到了那个住宿的地方，那个联系啊。
好的，好的。那明天早上如果过河的话，那就尽早跟我们说，我们在河这边等你们，好吗？好，一路平安哈。
I'm eager to see them as soon as possible, so we're taking a drive out of Tapachula to the Suchiate River, Mexico's southern border with Guatemala. It's a border unlike any I've seen before.
I'm in Mexico. The other side of the river is Guatemala. This border crossing is super busy, but super informal. I haven't seen anyone checking any papers. The people on the rafts going across is a mix of locals and migrants. It is hard for us to tell which one is which. And all the time we've been here, we haven't seen any Chinese migrants coming across.
Our local fixer Benjamin tells us that we must stay on the north side of the river bridge because the south side is controlled by smuggling gangs who don't want their operations exposed. So we're relieved to hear that the family plans to cross the river on their own using one of the crossings we have access to. But hours go by and we still don't see them.
Niña de 12.
Ya vienen un grupo.
But there was a group, there was a group of Chinese people that took the tricycle.
Los ciclistas lo llevan para allá abajo por la ruta peligrosa.
So they probably went to the other side.喂，哎，爸爸，你们到了。
现在所有的人啊，所有的人全部全部。
你现在在哪里？你不要动，我来找你好吗？
现在在这个码头，很多人在这里，他都。
你等我看一下，我看一下你的定位，我看一下你的定位好吗 ？They're just right there. They're right there. Yeah.
杜伟，我们全部抢光了，
那个，爸爸，哎呦，人没事吧？没事啊。哎呀，吓到了是不是？妈妈吓到了。
我们全部抢光了，我们并且还搜身了，把衣服都脱光了，全部都抢了。
什么人抢的？
起码是6批人在那里，每一个人带批人，然后你主动的把包全部翻掉，翻掉以后把衣服全部脱掉收，女的一个都不放过。
对，平安就好，平安就好。
我现在在这里动不了，撑不了腰，
平安。
吃饭都没钱。
啊，没事。
他们说我们现在钱都不敢取，因为有一堆的飞车党在那边等着我们去取钱。钱不敢取。
只能是那我们这里能打 Uber 吗？
这里没有 Uber， 这样我你
有 Uber 我可以打 Uber。
没有，他必须要包车才。
哦，那麻烦了。
Mexico makes assisting migrants in transit a crime, so there's nothing we can do. The Chinese migrants find a group of Venezuelans, hoping they can tag along. Finally, a driver stops, agreeing to get paid after reaching Tapachula.
Okay, they're doing now. Then we'll just follow that man.
There are 3 immigration checkpoints on the way back to the city. I'm curious how they would navigate, so we follow their van.
They're all getting out of the vehicle because there's the immigration checkpoint ahead. So they'll have to go to the other side of the road, walk on foot, hoping they won't get stopped, and then get picked up by the van on the other side.
Okay, up to you guys. Okay.
But only a few minutes later, we see the van stop by the roadside again, where there's no checkpoint.
Keep going. Slowly, don't stress it.
The van is stopped.
Don't stop, just drive. And we'll leapfrog over.
Why do you think they stopped there? What's there?
Bueno, son 2 teorías que pensamos. La primera es que el transporte los baja, engañándolos que hay un punto de revisión, el cual no estaba ahí. Entonces los baja, los hace caminar, rodear para que salgan adelante y paguen una vez más el transporte público. La segunda es para asaltarlos o robarlos.
In the couple of hours that they've spent in Mexico, they've walked into a trap for a second time. Our fixer Benjamin says it would be incredibly dangerous for us to try to find them. He insists that we drive on.
哎，大哥啊，你们是不是路上下了车，走到一个小树林里面去了？我们等了很久都没有看到人来，现在很担心。你们到了塔帕斯一定通知我好吗？